Greetings, fellow guitar nerds. What's up? It's Pete Thorn. And hey, this week I got to play some AC/DC music. There was a local jam night, the Sunset Jam. It happens at the Viper Room here in LA every Monday. And it was all AC/DC all night long. So I got to go down there and play Hell's Bells and Livewire. That was just super fun. I broke out my old SG, and we all had a great time. So the day that I was going to head down there and play, I was working on the songs earlier that day here in the studio, and I just threw my iPhone up on the desk, and I recorded a quick video of me playing the Hell's Bells solo, all standing up and rocking out, because I like to practice standing up, especially if I'm going to be performing a song live. It's great to practice like you're going to be playing the song, which means standing up and rocking out, because you don't want the first time you play the song with that kind of energy to be on stage. It's great to kind of simulate it before. It feels different than when you're sitting in a chair. But back to AC/DC and Angus Young. So I threw my iPhone up on the desk here when I was practicing the songs here in the studio, and I just recorded myself playing the Hell's Bells solo because I was having so much fun with it. And I got a huge response to the video. I put it up on Instagram, I put it up on Facebook, and I think the video's got like 32,000 or 33,000 views on Instagram now or something, just in a couple days. And I thought, what is it about Angus that still gets people so excited all these years later? A solo that was recorded in 1980, the Hell's Bells solo. What is it that turns people on so much? And I really started thinking about Angus's playing and what is so cool about it. And what I realized is that with his soloing, he's got a few key things, techniques, and I don't mean hammer-ons and pull-offs or bends or things like that. I mean more sort of big picture techniques that he does over and over again that just make his solos super awesome. They're easy to remember and sing in your head. They stick in your head, they stick with you, and they take you on a little ride every time. And I thought, what are the elements that he so successfully connects with listeners and gets them so excited when he's soloing, that maybe I can break down and teach in a little video like this. So I realized there's a few key things that he does over and over again in different solos, and I'm going to break them down for you right now. And I'm going to use the Hell's Bells solo as well as the You Shook Me All Night Long solo as perfect examples, because they both sort of mirror each other in many different ways. So the number one thing that he does is he plays in digestible phrases, okay? He plays a phrase and then he takes a pause, much like I'm talking right now. And I think it's a really, really effective thing when you're soloing, to solo kind of like you speak. When I think about some of my favorite soloists, be it Eddie Van Halen or Michael Landau's a great example, they kind of play like they're talking to you. They're really communicating through the instrument, and Angus is a master of that. So you got to keep in mind, it's like a conversation or like somebody singing a song. It's great to do a phrase, break. Another phrase, then break. Easily digestible musical phrases. Never too many notes either. I mean, it's like there is a thing these days where, I don't know if you guys experience this, but watching guitar players, be it on Instagram or whatever, there's some incredible technique going on out there and stuff. But if it's too much all at once, I kind of watch and I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Whoa, that's crazy. And then I just start to tune out a little bit. And the reason is you got to break it up. Maybe I just have a short attention span or I'm ADD or something, but I don't think that's what it is. I think that the best soloists have a knack of communicating in phrases that are sort of easily digestible. They say something, they give the listener a chance to absorb, and then they move on. So both the Hell's Bells solo and You Shook Me All Night Long solo have that kind of phrasing going on. I think it's great. Now, the one thing that you want to avoid is always doing phrases that are kind of the same length. And Angus is great about that. Sometimes he'll play over the bar line, or like in the middle of the Hell's Bells solo, there's this long bend where he builds and he's kind of playing over the bar line into the next section. And it just has this beautiful ramp to it. So just remember that when I say playing in digestible phrases, I don't mean always make your phrases really static, the same length, and stop. It's nothing like that. But, you do want to kind of play a phrase, then another phrase, then another phrase with short little breaks in between. Okay, the number 2 thing that Angus does a lot is the momentum of the solo always builds. And he does that by starting lower on the neck and then moving up gradually up the neck. And he does this all the time. It certainly happens in the Hell's Bells solo as well as the You Shook Me All Night Long solo. I remember hearing John Mayer talk about this. If you start up high on the neck and it's very exciting up there playing those notes, but you've got nowhere to go then, kind of. You've left yourself nowhere to go. So consider playing simple phrases with lots of space between them, kind of down low, starting there and then working up the neck. Always a successful way to build the solo and keep the listener's interest. So another thing that he always does is he contrasts using double stops and single notes a lot. He's always kind of moving between bends and single note phrases and then doing double stop bends with a lot of tension in them. And it makes, once again, for nice contrast in a solo. It's a great way to kind of break up the solo, give it momentum, and give the listener different things to listen to. And another element he uses to contrast is major and minor scales. So he's kind of a pentatonic or blues-based player, but he's not always playing minor blues scales, and he's not always playing major blues scales. He tends to mix it up, and he even throws in some stuff that's almost borderline country-ish sometimes. Certainly in the You Shook Me All Night Long guitar solo. You Shook Me All Night Long starts down in third position, very minor pentatonic, and then he starts shifting up the G and B strings, and all of a sudden he kind of gets into this major pentatonic, almost Joe Walsh sounding territory. Then when he's all the way up the neck, playing G minor pentatonic up around the 15th fret, there's this beautiful interplay that happens between major and minor. And it just makes for a really beautiful contrast that is super memorable. I mean, even if you're not a guitar player, I bet most people could probably sing that solo. And the number 4 thing, and without a doubt, probably the most important thing, is his attitude and his soul that's always in his playing. I mean, there's always just so much personality in it. It's like a combination of badassery and humor is always going on in Angus's playing, with an underlying sort of bubbling angst that I just love. I mean, all his pick scrapes and things that he does. I mean, I'm sure we all wonder where the guy gets all that energy from. And anyway, so just to recap, number 1, play things in digestible phrases, take little pauses in between licks. Number 2, build momentum. Start low and then move up the neck throughout your solo, ending up high. Number 3, contrast single note lines and double stops with double stop bends. And also contrasting major and minor scales if you can get away with it in the progression that you're playing over. And number 4, and probably the most important thing, your attitude and your soul. Always put a ton of that into everything that you do. Thanks for watching this video. All hail the mighty Angus Young. He's one of my favorite guitar players. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the thumbs up button if you dug this video, and come back and see me for more videos real soon. I'm Pete Thorn. Take care.